Welcome to the Take Your Power Back Show with Peak Performance Breakthrough Coach Kim Yeater. Today's empowering program will encourage you to step into your power, to take action in your leadership, and allow your voice to be heard. Listen in today as we speak to other freedom-loving Americans that are making a positive impact in the world by standing in truth amid adversity. Learn how to take your power back in your freedom, in your personal and professional life, in technology and creativity, and in your faith. Be inspired. Be encouraged. Be transformed. Together, let's take your power back with our host, Peak Performance Breakthrough Coach, Kim Yeater.
Good morning, my freedom-loving patriots. Welcome to the Take Your Power Back Show. I'm your host, Peak Performance Master Coach Kim Yeater, and I am here today to awaken the warrior within you and to amplify the voices the Main Street tries to silence. Today is a historic episode. Go get your friends, go get your family, go get your neighbors. Share this show everywhere. We are about to move the needles in the minds of the Californians, those in the United States, and those throughout the world. It is time for we the people to take our power back. Our show today, Meet the Governor Candidate's Wife, born in China, made in America. She's my kind of girl. Love her. Stephanie Lee Shields, future First Lady of California, shares her raw firsthand story of growing up under Mao's communist regime and how she broke free to embrace the freedom and kindness that only America provides. In this explosive interview, Stephanie Lee, brainwashed to hate America as a child, witnessed Tiananmen Square horrors on Free USA TV, escaped the mind virus of Marxism through ancient spiritual truth, fell in love with the strength and heart of the American people. Her husband, Gubernatorial Candidate Scott Shields, that you saw on our Take Your Power Back California Governor Showdown stage, connects the dots today. The same atheist Marxist pathogen, the mind virus that destroyed China's true culture, has and is infiltrating California today. Scott and Stephanie have the plan to de-Marxify our state and lead us back to freedom, prosperity, and greatness. Come on, we got to make California great again. This episode is a must-watch wake-up call for every single one of us patriots. Those of us that love freedom, please share right now with everybody. Send them to this show. Get their ears and eyes on what is being said today. Buckle up, because we're going to dive in deep with Scott and Stephanie live in studio today at the Take Your Power Back Show. So let's pull them on in. Scott and Stephanie, welcome. Welcome to the Take Your Power Back Show.
Hi. Hi, Kim.
You know, it is an honor to have you guys here today. And I know we're squeezed on in. We're sharing screens together, but it is such a blessing. I got to tell you, you know, I'm going to share some things today with our audience that I believe is going to make a tremendous impact. And I feel that it's important to let people know that I've had the honor and privilege of having some very deep conversations. And you two are the real deal. And I tell you, if I were to be in a foxhole, there's a few people I'd be in a foxhole with, and it would be with you guys. So I just love the both of you. I've grown to just you're close to my heart. And as I hear your story and understand it in a deeper way, and those that you've been surrounded with, Stephanie and Scott, that have undergone intense persecution, that they've lost loved ones, I'm reminded of why I'm here today and why I'm in the role that God has given me. But this isn't about me today. This is about you. and this is about your story. So, Stephanie, we're going to begin with you.
Let me interrupt real quick.
Yes.
It is about you, and it's about us, and it's about everybody in California, America, and the world. And I'll leave it at that. And you're very important here, and all your followers. I really recommend you really try to support Kim any way you can, because she has been a patriot with us. She's been a friend and acquaintance in a short period of time that we found to love in her heart and her mind, and the effort is genuine. And that's what we look for, as people that are putting the genuine effort out there to do what's right. So thank you, Kim. And sorry to interrupt. But
No, Scott, thank you. That means so much. That means so much. You guys are amazing. Well, Stephanie, let's start with your beginnings. You were born in 1964 under Mao's regime, singing songs to Chairman Mao, even dreaming of Tiananmen as Heaven's Gate. Right. What was it like realizing the Communist Party had lied to you about everything? America, freedom, China's own spiritual heritage.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah, take my story, and it's really when I land to the LaGuardia Airport, New York, then I started to realize what I heard what I learned when I was in China. Yeah, that was in 1987. I first came, and I was working to UN, United Nations, and I was invited to work there, actually teaching exercise and coaching. Yeah. So when I was young, from my born, actually from my first memory, maybe it's 4 or 5 years old, and I just heard, Mao is our God, our sun, or we're the plant, and then we need the sun and water. So Mao is like sun, and the party is water. So we're really curious that when we're really thinking, we need to see, if I have a chance to see Mao, that will be in the heaven.
Wow. So Mao was he was this God, right? It was life to you. And to be able to meet him would be like that experience of what you thought heaven would be.
Yeah. So we have a song called I Love Tiananmen Square. So I still remember, when the music is on, then the lyric is coming up still. And also, in my, middle, actually is elementary school, when I year 10, before 10, neighbors or friends, they all say, oh, this girl can sing and dance. So I was is chosen one in the school. So I was in the group, and I thought I gave you that picture. I was showing.
Let's pop that up for a second. Let's pop that up.
Oh, okay.
So tell us. Yeah. This is amazing. Tell us about this picture.
I say on the corner, say 毛泽东思想文艺
right here.
That's Chinese. And 1974 and April 2. Can you recognize which one is me?
I'm looking. Is it okay? Are you the? Hold on. Let me look. Are you the top left corner? Top left corner, all the way.
It's on my side. Was it right?
Second from the right on the top. Second from the right on the top.
Is it you? Second from the right with
the long hair one,
checkered shirt.
The long hair.
Oh,
she was already a rebel. Everybody else had short hair.
Oh my gosh, you're already a rebel. Okay, so this picture, Stephanie, why is this picture so significant? This gathering of children, this wasn't just a normal, okay, we're going to take a school picture. This was the beginning of what?
Yeah, the middle is our singing teacher. So we're a group of singing Mao songs and dance. So we go in other schools, or we go a lot of places to perform. I'm one of them.
So you might want to say what the Chinese actually letters mean up there. You might want to put that back a minute real quick. Why don't you say
what do these letters? What do these letters mean?
This means Mao Zedong thought and like propaganda team.
It's the propaganda team.
Propaganda.
It's the Mao thought propaganda team.
So you were on a team, you were being groomed, is
Right.
what you were. This entire group of people was being groomed.
Yeah.
For the propaganda team from Mao. Wow. And there you were, years later, you're at the United Nations, and you give us your experience before you even came to the country. What was it like growing up for you, Stephanie? You had a great childhood from what I understand. Like you didn't know that there was a problem, right?
No. I'm happy when I grew up and I have a happy environment, school or family, everybody's loving me, and I feel I'm a really lucky one. Yeah. And so talking back from the grew up, and so my first learning in Chinese traditional Qigong. I don't know if people understand this. Is really from Taoism or Buddhism or energy practice.
Qigong.
Mm-hmm. Qigong. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was from my father. He got treatment from Qigong, and he got health back, and that was interest me. That was my age 16. Then I started to try to learn it, and I luckily my teacher accept. So I was practice very hard every morning, and I grew up like I get up like 5 and then get 2 hour exercise and practice, and then I go to school. Yeah. So after 3 years, and I don't know, I already can do a lot.
Yeah. So you're 16 years old. You have a great, you don't realize that so from what I understand, your parents were awakened to what was happening, but yet they too were still indoctrinated, right? They had also been groomed in some degree. So they did the best they could to protect you. You had a happy childhood. You had some incredible training. So by 16 years old, you were groomed to be utilized for propaganda.
Actually, I didn't really know the propaganda, what it is actually. Yeah, and so that the Qigong was really interest me, and actually like really bring the traditional things. After the China Cultural Revolution, that was in 1966 into 1976 was 10 years revolution, was born all these traditional books, and so we are not allowed to learn the traditional things. So then back to 90s, that was like my age 16, that was like 90s, right? And it started to open up a little bit. Yeah.
Okay,
That's why.
So that I understand, there was the Cultural Revolution. They were burning books, everything that was traditional, they were getting rid of. But by the time you were 16, was that a time where they now began to open up a little bit more and you could bring in some of the traditional things of the past? Okay, got it.
Yes.
Actually, that's 1980.
Yeah, 1980. Yeah, that's 80.
She knows it's 80.
Yeah, 1980, got that. Okay.
Right.
And so here you were, 16 years old. You're becoming an expert in Qigong. and like an expert, right? And so then what?
Yeah, then 3 years later, my teacher was passed away, and then I was invited to a bigger, like my province has a bigger qigong sharing like meeting, and like 2,000 people. It's a very big
A
meeting,
lot of people.
and I was invited to perform. So like in China, it's open for qigong. It's kind of like very popular, and then the government was supported, wants to to find out so in any type of qigongs, and then that's why the sharing conference. Yeah, and I was brought there too, and I met my second teacher. Yeah, then he is he is the one that's driving the qigong like in China, whole
Okay.
nationwide.
And just for our audience, can you give me a picture of what Qigong looks like? I know for me, I have a martial arts background in kickboxing. I've done a little bit of Tai Chi, but I'm all about stretching and breathing and life and grounding. Give me a picture of what Qigong is.
Good luck.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Let me talk about what does qigong means.
Okay.
Okay, qi is in Chinese means energy, a breath,
Mm.
actually, qi. And gong, then you must be heard gongfu, right?
Mm.
So there's two words combined together called qigong. It means like your breathing exercise, right? But actually, they're a deeper meaning in qigong, because that if back to traditional Chinese a culture, there's no such name qigong. It's called 修炼. Xiu Lian is kind of like people, when people talk 修炼, maybe they will direct you to a Buddha's temple or Taoist temple, and the people is cultivate their heart and mind, right? And then they want to reach in their, higher level. And but that culture was telling the revolution was really wipe it out, destroy this. You don't have any belief system in China for other than the communism mind.
Okay, so just to go back for a second. So you went from one practice to another practice. There was a point where there was the color revolution or culture revolution, and they wiped out a lot of the traditional training. And then the 80s, you started to kind of begin to access some of those older teachings. So you went from one expertise to another expertise. So at this point, you are equipped and trained, and you're now give me the distinction, because the communists were allowing you to do this.
Yeah, they just started. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did that stop at any point?
That will coming up. Yeah, they will stop later.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but
take
they
me from
started.
that. So here you have the second training.
Try to go back to the second teacher and who he was and what you were doing.
Okay, so
that'll enlighten people.
Yeah, so the second teacher, actually, he had his story. He has working with China, like high ranked military.
They would call it the powerhouse, the CCP, top of the Chinese Communist Party officials.
Okay, now this gives a whole different depiction. Okay, so this makes me think of, in the United States, those corrupt Olympic trainers that have already sold out their student. That's what comes to mind for me.
No, you have to, I'll interrupt here. It might be easier for me to explain a little bit without her going too deep into it. But you back then, China didn't have a lot of medical advancements. So as the society was moving forward, more people had more opportunity in the 80s to be in jobs and work and learn about the world. But the medical industry hadn't reached over there at all. So then they started seeing, okay, Qigong, such as her and others, like the two teachers, which were top tier of Qigong. There's different levels of Qigong, but
Yeah,
different
all
teachings. There's all
different.
kinds. So it's kind of hard to explain, right?
Mhm.
But just to know that the ones that usually were treating the top people were ones that weren't selling snake oil, so to speak, right? To try to raise, so you can always get frauds in anything. We have it in business, we have it in everything, right? So, but there was success, and like anything, where there is success with somebody's treatment, then people start to look and say, okay, what is it? Because we don't have the medical technology yet over here,
Okay.
and we're older, and we want to be treated by something, right?
Right.
So the teacher was capable of helping, right? So
Oh, okay, good.
Qigong, yeah. So Stephanie, the same way. I mean, you wouldn't be at that level unless you're doing some good. They'll throw you out faster than, it doesn't.
Right.
This is a communist country, okay?
Yeah.
So people even throw you out in America if you want to do good because.
So Scott and Stephanie, let me ask you: was the Communist Party ultimately the Communist Party was very aware of Stephanie?
Oh yeah, she was right there in the treatment she was the #1 assistant with the teacher with the powerhouse, and that's how she ended up. And you'll see it when the written words. If people go to, I've written it on my campaign too. Who's Stephanie? You can see the document that we write. She's coming out with a book. We're gonna come out with a book on this, so she can really explain it better.
Yes.
So we really appreciate the opportunity here for her to try to talk on this because this is hard for her. This is hard for her. So she's doing great.
You're doing really great.
She's doing great. So, but what happened is because China was opening up in the 80s, even for business people, and I was there as well early. And so the relationships were starting to happen, but medicine went there. But the Adam Smith trade will, engage people. So people were making friends, acquaintances, and trade. We were doing that. And so they were a magnet for knowledge, right? And so with that, the knowledge that they had in their own culture started to open up, which was Qigong. But so they started to accept it. And then they featured Stephanie's first teacher on the propaganda newspaper, which is China. He featured him. So everybody in the country said Qigong's okay. Because to work. But until that happened, it was kind of quiet in some places. It's a big country. Different people had different regions, and we have the states, right? We have different people here. People think China's just China. The provinces have different personalities, temperaments, talents, convictions, beliefs, all that. Kitchen table lineage, all that stuff, right? So we have it even here in a smaller country. So it started to open up because of him and her, the Qigong. And then they were invited to treat the King of England or King of Thailand's brother.
Okay, hold right there, Scott. Back to you, Stephanie.
So go back to her. So I'm giving you the backdrop. Yeah, I don't know. It's too much.
I love it. You're doing great, Scott. Hey, so you were there to treat the King of Thailand's sister?
Before I left China, then I just talked about my second teacher brought me in when I age 19. So I brought to Beijing. Then I will start to my second teacher, and then I was kind of assistant to him and to using Qigong to you may heard acupuncture, acupressure, or those the traditional way. And Qigong is like a little. You don't need the needle even. You don't need medicine. So kind of like this, it really works. That's why.
Acupressure.
Kind of. And so then I 1986, we was invite us to Thailand, so to treat the king brother, or called Kalei Palmer. I have a picture I may want to show you.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe.
So while you're looking for that, I want to let our audience know that, you guys, I want you to stick with us. First of all, it's not easy. This is not her first language. And here she is with us doing a phenomenal job. And, Stephanie, I just want to acknowledge you for that. And we're going to get into how we all are being propagandized right now. And you're going to learn about the mind virus right here in the state of California. throughout this country and throughout the world, all coming from that communist, Marxist, atheist mentality. So we're going to go into that and how to battle that. But the most important thing is you can only do something with what you know is happening. If we don't know and we're not aware of this, then how the heck can we deal with it? So the great thing is Stephanie's story is a powerful story, which we'll be hearing in her book coming out in the spring. But her story is going to lay the foundation for all of us to be able to truly take our power back, because we're on the brink, we're on the tipping point of losing California and losing this country. So Stephanie, back to you.
Mhm.
So go into, you went to Thailand and then treated the brother. And then from there, that's how you ended up at the UN.
Right. Yeah. So after the we're going to Thailand, then we have a free time. We're going to UN, a branch of Thailand. So we had a class that we're teaching over there. It's worldwide. People want to know why it is so powerful, or why so many people was practiced in China. So it's kind of just opened the door for the worldwide. And then the UN people in Thailand, after a while, and then they say, oh, why don't you, we'll introduce you to our headquarters in New York. So we said, oh, okay. So that's how we come here in 1987.
The 1987. Okay, hold that for a second. So United Nations now introduces you to the headquarters in New York. What was your viewpoint growing up under Mao? What was your viewpoint of the United States when you thought of the United States? Did you think of this great place and peace and freedom and ease? What did you think of? How were you conditioned to think about the USA?
Oh, that was totally different than you talk. I was thinking a United States was a dangerous place and dangerous country. Back till my age, like 12, where
Yeah.
I still remember we watching the movie called American movie called what is
Charlie Chaplin, Modern Times.
Modern Times.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to watch that movie?
Yes, I watched that movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But that movie shows how Americans like poor were, and then the factory
Yes,
is
Industrial Revolution.
and and the revolution, and also how the workers how the way they treat workers and people hungry. And we've been just like watching only American movie I was watching. That's the only movie.
Wow, that's
And
it.
and I was put in my mind already, and I didn't know that's like 20 centuries. I thought that's the current American is like that. Yeah, then I was really nervous when I on the plane. I said, oh, I'm going to New York, and we don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I told. And also we told another China movie will tell the Korean War. And American soldiers was fighting in the Chinese and Korean and Chinese soldiers. And I would say how the American soldiers look. And so we'll say, oh, that's how they're tall, but
those were the two propaganda films that really penetrated the youth and the population, utilizing Charlie Chaplin, who was actually a communist, and it's kind of interesting when you go back. They utilized instead of satire, they were using that over there as propaganda to, like you say, so when she comes over here, she's thinking that's current times that are happening. And that was actually everything that was happening in America at the past too, which it wasn't, obviously. And so, so it's interesting. But anyway,
propaganda.
So that's her mindset coming in here. That's why she's really indoctrinated about America to be fearful. and then she gets off the plane, and you can tell her what you see. And
Yeah, and
Yeah.
your safe place is Mao. Your
Yeah,
safe
yeah.
place is Mao. That's your
Yeah,
God.
and then also they were going to
Condition.
arrest your communist. If you're communist, you got arrested or somehow. An American doesn't like communists. So we
So
grew
did
up
you
there.
know then? Did you actually know that I am a communist? We are a communist regime. Did you know that back then?
A little bit, not very clear, but during the movie, like the movie which says, "Oh, if you're communism, you got arrested," right? So the movie was hitting me a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so
And
now you're in New York. Bring us forward.
yeah, after I landed in LaGuardia Airport, I said, "Oh wow, the airport look like very modern, right?" And then I see the subways, and then I see the New York the buildings, and later I see the supermarkets, and then we never heard about the supermarkets in China.
Wow.
Yeah, and full of the food. Yeah, it doesn't really. That's my first thought. It's a little different than what I thinking about. And later on, yeah, I meet people, and the American people is very nice. Yeah, they would direct me anywhere I want. I don't speak the language, and when I need to go somewhere and I'm not sure, the people are really really nice. Yeah, so that was like a start to changing me. And not
Yes.
not I was learned after I saw that my own experience. So and then also that UN people, then they will tell me, actually we first came, we'll only have a 3-month visa to teaching contract for 3 months, then we'll go into other place.
Okay, so
um,
you were just there. This is 1987. You were just there for supposed to be there for 3 months. You were
yes,
told,
supposed to
you
be.
were taught that, you were definitely propagandized. We just got a great depiction of that with
Yeah.
the way they used film and Charlie Chaplin to hate America. Instead, you fell in love. You saw the smiling faces, the kindness everywhere. I mean, what moment stands out most when you knew the propaganda was all lies? What was that moment for you?
That moment, actually is slowly, actually not just a moment. After I came, and then I started to learn English. Then they threw me in a UN, have a open a class for all other foreigners who was like a relative working in UN. And then yeah, I after a while, then I got friends, and they always keep telling me how great American. So I heard my see, and I heard people talk, even the officials were Chinese official working in UN. They told me this is a great place. And then
Wow.
they also tell me you're not going anywhere. So I was have a Canadian's visa. We're supposed to go teaching in Canadians medical school. So after a while, I really start to have the feeling. Then I changed in I-20 and student visa. So, and then I know American more and more. I really start to like here. So I never thought I never go back. That's why I still start there. And then after I teaching at UN like a year or something, and then I got friends who are so, if you don't
Yes.
speak language, then you go California. You have a lot of Chinese. You don't need to talk English, and you can survive. You have a lot of students,
Uh-huh.
and you can eat your Chinese food.
Yes,
So
yes.
then 1988, I came to California. Yeah.
So beautiful. And then there was a pivotal moment for you. I remember you sharing this with me yesterday. I want to give our audience
Mhm.
a picture that you saw right from the big screens of the USA's free televisions. So let's pull this up. This was an image of Tiananmen Square and what was
Yes.
happening. And for you growing up, under Mao's leadership and conditioning, Tiananmen Square and the songs that you sang were heaven. You imagined it as heaven. And then this was your experience. Let's play that video.
Is what happened in 1989.
Early on the morning of June 4th, 1989, thousands of Chinese troops rushed into Tiananmen Square in Beijing. The communist government brutally crushed a ragtag band of students, peasants and factory workers.
Some lost their lives when armored personnel carriers and troop trucks simply ran over them.
Communism, their doctrine is based on killing to scare people, to make fears and keep the ruling.
I was a journalist.
We're going to pause that right there. That's what you saw. What happened the day you saw that in the United States of America on the big screen? What was that like for you?
That's really shocking me, because before I came to American here, I was in Beijing. So Beijing is kind of like my second home, from I grew up. And I have friends and a lot of friends there. And that's really shocking me. I said, oh my gosh, why they are killing this innocent students, and also the citizen of Beijing. And I watch closely, I was watching TV every day. It was June 4th start killing, but I was watching every day. And then I phoned my father in China, and he kind of scared to talk about what I told him, what happening and killing student. And he said, it's not your thought. He just refused to talk this topic. I know he's scared, and he's scared. That's this really, telling me what I based on this 2 years experience in America, and these things happened. Yes. So I heard elderly people talk about from 1949, the communists take over China, and they use a different way to kill a lot of Chinese people. But I wasn't really it's my story. I don't have that much feeling. I heard it. But Tiananmen Square is really telling me, oh, that's another time.
Yes.
It's killing their own people.
How did that solidify communism as the father of lies, no truth, decency, or beauty?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then I really thought, oh, I've been grew up a little bit now. I know this is not right, and then it's true. So my deep my heart, I start to really anti-communism started. Yeah. And after that, I have friends in American here with co-workers or friends. We talk about what we see. So then it's even when we have a group people talk, then even more like telling me this is the things is communism it can do.
So
what was not scared to do.
Yeah, I can imagine, so, as a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming, when we're conditioned, we have neural pathways that are set. Those are the brain's functioning is set in a certain way. So it's all of a sudden your whole world as you knew it was like, oh my gosh, this is not the China I thought.
Yes. Yes. I really have that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And so so you began to see that was we would call that a pattern interrupt. It would take the neural pathway the neural pathway, the same pathway that has been developed, that you've been going down that same road over and over and over for years, that has set your belief system in motion, that pattern interrupt comes in and shatters it. And then comes all the people that you're surrounded by telling you the truth about communism.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So what was the moment that you began to feel, because there's so many emotions I can imagine for you in
Right.
that moment, Stephanie? Probably grief, confusion, sadness, maybe even anger.
Anger. Yeah.
Anger. Okay. Tell me about those emotions you experienced and what helped you to move from those emotions, that anger, or whatever else.
It
Go on.
bring my tear up, when I see that. It's really broken my heart. That's like my age of people,
Yes.
the students.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, yeah. When I see those pictures, I emotions still coming. Yeah. But I hold up sometimes. Yeah. And then yeah, it's really.
Yeah. It's okay.
And after,
I got you. I just want you to be able to be there for a second and experience that emotion.
yeah, I still when
Because I
we
think
talk
America,
about,
we need to understand the suffering that you went through and that the people went through and what's upon us right now in this country if we let it be.
Well, I think the key to what you just saw was not a communist, someone from the cultural past,
Yeah.
through kitchen table lineage and then through her teachings had not just Qigong, but also had the spiritual energy practice, not just even inborn or taught, but quietly, to where you couldn't do that later. And then later she was able to reconnect with it because it happened over here, became legal. I mean, you got freedom of spiritual belief here in America, so you can get into that later. But what you see is someone that's deep rooted with a spirit alongside reasoning and logic. She's very smart, by the way, and uses logic.
We
So
can see.
yeah, she's
I don't know.
no, she is.
Yes, you are, Stephanie.
Yeah, she's really smart. So, but where she's really smart is her heart and mind together with their spiritual practice and energy practice, which leads to awakenings, right? And so the only way, and we'll get into that when we come back, but she became awake at a higher level than most people became awake during Tiananmen Square, because they were still atheist Marxists, as I'll say, right? They were indoctrinated. They didn't have any of maybe some of the spiritual kitchen table lineage of the past of China in their homes. And this is what we worry about here in America that we'll talk about. But this is somebody that millions of people in China relate to with her, because they are that way, and they might not have been strong enough to talk about it. They're still in China, or they're here and they're doing business with China. She didn't care about that, right? So she's here talking about that. She's going to talk about the truth of it, regardless of financials, situation, and getting hurt, because they do ruin your reputation. They do ruin you financially, and they will ruin you physically, as we saw with, many people these days. So, but we'll get into that. But this is what you just saw with Stephanie, is that the courage to bring her spirit out of goodness to fight the truths that everybody's indoctrinated, and everybody can't do that. It's very hard. Okay, it's even the Chinese that are over here. It's very, very hard. They try, but still, we all have our relationships and human condition. She's a brave woman, and she'll be a great first lady. But so anyway, keep going.
Yes.
Keep going.
So here's what we're going to do. Absolutely. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a moment just to thank our sponsors, who make the Take Your Power Back show possible. And when we return, we're going to continue this powerful conversation. So Scott and Stephanie, we just love you. So excited that you're here. Don't you go anywhere. We're going to pop you in the back room. We're going to take a moment to say just a big thank you to our first sponsor, which is Patriots Made. Guys, I got to say, I'm so grateful that you support our sponsors, because you you support our sponsors, it allows us to bring on shows just like the one we're listening to today and watching. Meet the Candidate's Wife. Born in China and made in America. What a great story. Her book is going to be absolutely incredible when it comes out in the spring. But let's take a moment just to say hey to our Patriots Made. I want to tell you what Patriots Made is. First off, you'll meet people like Patriot Street Fighter Scott McKay, Lee Dundas. You'll meet people like J.J. Carroll, What is Treason, What is Traffic? Mary Crowley. These are many of the Patriots who say, you know what, we're tired of supporting BlackRock and Vanguard. We're tired of supporting the corruption. And we're tired of spending our hard-earned money going to support the woke. Things like the No Kings rally, which we know was funded by the Wally family. So let's just say that there's a better way. You can take your power back by making the switch to an American manufacturer that shares your values, our values. A manufacturer that makes over 500 products that are better, safer, and less expensive than the stores. And let me tell you what, 20 years ago, I made the switch. Best decision I ever made. You want to turn the lights onto the body? Take your inflammation down by 16.2% in the first hour. You want to get rid of the stinking thinking? You want to get rid of the heavy metals in your body and bring the systems of the body back in balance? Are you looking for safer products in your home? This is where you're going to find it. This is Patriots Made. Go check out our resource. Go to patriotsmade.com/Kim. That's patriotsmade.com/Kim. Thousands of our listeners have tapped on in, and 96.7% of them come back month after month. Why? Because it's a complete testament to the products. And you're talking vertical integration. Go check them out. It's patriotsmade.com/Kim. Now, our next sponsor is piggybacking right off of that. And actually, I'm going to pull this one up better. I think I like this one. It gives me a nice little corner picture. This is we've utilized this for Patriot TV. We've utilized this for a lot of our resources. It's called Freedom Steaks Now. So if you're one of those people that says, you know what, I want to have good meat. I want to have meat that doesn't have hormones, doesn't have antibiotics, doesn't have Zeranol, which is outlawed in many of the countries, by the way, but not in the USA. And I want to have good beef that doesn't have mRNA and never will. Well, you can tap into our resource at Freedom Steaks Now. Guys, I love beef. And let me tell you, I was never really a beef eater until I tapped in here. Now, I've had beef at Mar-a-Lago. I've had beef at the highest level steakhouses. You've all heard me say that. But never have I tasted beef like this. My ribeyes are the favorite. I love our family dinners when we have brisket, the bomb diggity. Go get yours today, delivered to your home, UPS style, frozen. They're freeze dried. They are fresh and delicious. It's called freedomsteaksnow.com/Kim. You're going to receive a video that's going to give you the information. And then I'll tell you what, my team will personally reach out to you to make sure that you're set up for success. Go to freedomsteaksnow.com/Kim. Let's take your power back today with your health, with your wellness, and tap into the resources that make the difference. We're all about empowering our Patriots. All right, Patriots, today's show has been absolutely incredible. And I have to say, we're really just getting started. It's Meet the Governor Candidate's Wife, born in China, made in America. We're going to bring them back into the room. We've got beautiful Stephanie Lee Shields and Scott Shields. Scott is running for the governor of the state of California. And if Scott takes on that role, well, Stephanie Lee would be our first lady. So welcome back to the show, you two.
Thank you.
So let's pick it up from Tiananmen Square. And Scott, I'm gonna pick up from you, and then we're gonna go back over to Stephanie. Okay. And I feel like there's an area that we really need to touch on right now. So what we're seeing and saw with Tiananmen Square, this was communism at best. Now, you've been talking about atheist Marxism as a dangerous mind virus that leads to the societal cancers of socialism and communism. Stephanie lived through its devastating effects under Maoism. How did hearing her firsthand experiences deepen your understanding of this threat? And why do you make a clear distinction between atheist Marxism and other forms of atheism, such as atheist humanism, that you believe are compatible with America's spiritually rooted founding principles?
Yeah, very interesting. I'm 65, and so that was during the Reagan time, and obviously Tiananmen Square for even Americans that that were here were learning about China at the time, but we were still in the framework of Russia after the the wall coming down and that figuring all that out, right? Really taking the eye off the ball with Russia or with China, and just utilizing China for economic prosperity and labor and relationships, like what I stated, to where that generation of leadership did want to change. They wanted to move away from communism. They saw what happened in Russia. They wanted to move away. But Jiang Zemin, who was the leader at the time, who wasn't the leader of Tiananmen Square, but he was actually the muscle. He was the one that ordered it and convinced the leadership at that time. So he became kind of like a military coup inside the good people of China that were dealing with economically and diplomatically to move China toward more of a socialist, country, more like Europe, allowing freedoms, right? Even though it's still a government theocracy, socialism. And if people have the Marxism mindset, which they've had in Europe, they still sometimes have leaders that say they're spiritual, but they're not, right? They don't act out that way. So, and that's the problem with concentrated government, and why our ideals are our ideals, right? Limited government and that. So the issue became in China after Tiananmen Square that Jiang Zemin became very, very prominent in the party. And Jiang Zemin was an evil guy. Nobody really brings him up. After Mao, it's Jiang Zemin. I mean, it's just an evil, psychopathic person, right? And like a lot of psychologists will tell you, a psychopath, you can't tell. They're the greatest liars in the world. So they'll come over and meet with our diplomats and our business people. And I guess we could say in the poker world of Vegas, they say if you don't know who the grape at the poker table is, you are, right? And grape means sucker, so to speak.
And just to insert, we in the United States are still in many of those relationships with China now,
well,
not even realizing what we're in.
That's what happened. And so at Jiang Zemin, and she'll get into the story later on how the third issue, and where she came on the spiritual awakening. But to me, we always were talking about communism and fighting communism really hard, but we never really in America looked at the root of the problem. That if you have cancer, you try to find out where it's at, right? Where's the pathogen start? And a lot of that goes all the way back to Charlie Chaplin. So when you do, and it really goes back to 1848 with Marxism and the Liberty Revolution in Europe. So it's not just, it wasn't a labor revolution. It was not it was an industrial revolution by Engels and elites in Europe that brought in Marx to overtake the Liberty Revolution that was really in God We Trust revolution in Europe, mirroring America's revolution in 1848. Remember the time, 1848, 1776. A lot of people in Europe were envious of America's freedoms and winning the war. But guess what? The industrialists and the elites in Europe still were Marxists. They brought Marx in, and they ended up leading an atheist Marxist revolution, kidnapping that revolution and taking it away from the In God We Trust revolution. Really interesting. And it's a true story. This is not something that's fabricated. So basically all of us for years fighting communism, but really not looking at the root of the problem. I'm into, I think, some of my history. And so you have to solve a problem, you have to look at what the root of the problem is to get to the root of the solution.
Sure.
Right. So if we just hit communism, which was great with Russia, okay, and it did work, but it really didn't, right? Because all the mind virus did is move over to China in a larger capacity because it was already infiltrated, and Europe's already infiltrated, and other spiritual places like the Middle East are okay with aligning with it, and America's spiritual people, because there's financial agreements and we're meeting people we like, and they've got a good inborn spirit, sort of, or inborn quality and intellect and logic. But they're atheist Marxists, not atheists, as you said, atheist humanist. Okay, you can't be, there's a difference between an atheist humanist, an atheist atomist, which is basically science people, atheist science people. A lot of people that are in science are atheists. So in my opinion, and I've talked to some theologians here pretty big time on this before I came out with this. So when we say atheist, we have to identify it as a belief system. It is a religion. It is a belief system. It is a belief of non-belief. Yes. And within that religion of atheism, there's sects, just like we have Protestants or Christian or Mormons and Catholics. Sure. And different, Christians really the antitrust or anti-monopolistic religion, right? The others become theocratic. So atheism is a theocratic religion for a long time. Atheist Marxists and science individuals may not align with it, but guess what? Because it's theocratic, just like in the Middle East, a lot of Middle Easterners with Islam don't go along with what the theocracy does or acts on, right? But they have to, because they're still under that theocratic religion. So atheist Marxism is that as well. In China, it is a theocracy in China now. It is massive. It runs every decision making, and they've exported it around the world. And they took over where the KGB went silent after the Cold War, and they were very effective. They know what they're doing, and that's what we have to stop. The tariff should be with Trump, in my opinion. Xi Jinping, whose father was imprisoned by communists. Listen to what I just said. Xi Jinping's father was imprisoned by communists.
Wow.
Xi Jinping himself was here when he was 33 or 35 in San Francisco. As you can see pictures of that. It's out there, and in Mississippi, making friends. Basically, generation of Stephanie, who was indoctrinated and certainly has come out of it, because he's been around the world now, right? Yes. Like Stephanie said, he's met everybody, but he understands the evils of communism. There's no issue with that in my mind. I'm certain of that. But they still export it here, and they've done such a great job of following up with the KGB, which obviously was working before, in the 50s and 40s and 30s and 20s to indoctrinate people here, and that lineage is here, and their kids are that, and the money inherited is that, and so this is who they are. And so it's like, Stephanie, this is who you are. You're not evil. Stephanie's not evil. She was caught in the system. The people's not evil. If you're in America and you're an atheist Marxist, you have to understand Stephanie's story. It's powerful. I can't de-Marxify you. Stephanie can't de-Marxify you. You can only de-Marxify yourself. It's like an alcoholic. It's like a drug addict. You can get help. We can help you. We can help educate you, and we can help give you guidance. Okay, but you have to look at it yourself and do your own critical thinking, like she did. So, we have to be, in my opinion, I need to be educator in chief. I've been trying to get Trump to do it for 8 years. Okay. But obviously America and the State Department, they've got their own planning on how they want to associate with the real true root of the problem. That's fine. I'm not, I can't change that, but I can change it in California.
Yes.
And California is a bellwether, and California is a nation in itself. So atheist Marxists, when I say that, and we use the word atheist, if you're an atheist science person, I know you have family members that are spiritual. I know you have kitchen table lineage, or I know you have inborn qualities. If you're not atheist Marxist, that's good. It may even be better than spiritual people. Okay, whatever your actions. If you're an atheist humanist, many people in PETA were that before it got taken over by atheist Marxists, because pacifists get taken over, they get infiltrated, right? And then nobody wants to fight their own. So, but atheist science and atheist humanists have to separate now from atheist Marxists. We have to make that cut in the line.
Okay,
And
so Can we just distinguish
Yeah,
that?
go. I'll go forever.
Okay. All right. No, you're doing great. You're doing great. So let's get to the root. You got to get to the root of the cancer. So the root of the cancer is atheist Marxism. And you gave me a description yesterday, which I'm like, listen, you're going to make it so stupid simple so that we really get it. And you gave me this picture, and I kind of put it together in my head. You said, Kim, when they know God, they know God. See, atheists don't know God. There is no spiritual connection. When you know God, you know empathy. Right.
You will have empathy.
Then this is what I put together in my head. When there's no God, there's no empathy.
That's right.
That gave me a distinction, right? So we see that right now throughout California, the United States, really the world, that there is a atheist Marxism masking itself in so many different ways. But it is a lie from the pit of hell. It keeps people enslaved. And then before we know it, we are so indoctrinated and propagandized that we fall right into the hands of the enemy.
Oh, without a doubt. And I really want to go back in what you're saying. I'm in full agreement with how you're making that analogy. But we do also have to add atheist, the sects in the religion of atheism is atheist humanist and atheist science. Okay, because many times there's a gentleman, a lot of people can reference this, is Albert Camus. And he was an atheist, but he was atheist humanist. And not so much science. I probably at some point people could say I was atheist science, right? So, but I also have a spirit. I know it's there. But Camus, he did not have a problem with Christianity. He did not have a problem with people that were spiritual. In fact, he embraced them. He knew the goodness that they were bringing, even though he was an atheist. That's how you separate the difference between an atheist Marxist, someone that's an atheist science, and atheist. How are their actions towards spiritual people, right? It's real simple. Atheist Marxists in China, you have no freedom of religion, of spirituality. So obviously they're over here with atheist Marxists. They'll tell me personally, no, I'm an atheist scientist individually. I'll say you are, but you're in a system. There's a lot of atheist science people like Stephanie was already indoctrinated, but she had a great heart. There's millions of people, and we'll get into that later or another date. There's millions of people that have signed petition to end their CCP sign up. She did that too, if you want to ask her about that. She was a youth person that there's 3 things you have to sign. She was in the communist youth, right? She signed a document saying, I'm out, right? There's millions that have done that. So when people say we can't de-Marxify California, people will, once they wake up, once they see the truth, once they hear the truth out of the indoctrination, and they don't get alienated for it. We don't want to alienate them, because if they want to stay atheist and they don't want to come, they've got to come to their spirit on their own, in my opinion. I've learned that. Okay, it's good to educate. It's not good to drive, in my opinion, to someone that's already that indoctrinated. It's very difficult. So what's important is to educate them away by examples such as yourself, such as Stephanie, such as myself. It's examples that will lead people the way and to where their goodness comes out. And they say, wow, like Stephanie, I was lied to. I was lied to. I was lied to. I don't have any empathy when Charlie Kirk gets shot, when the healthcare guy gets shot, or I'm a sick person. Okay, real simple. If you have no empathy when the healthcare person gets shot in the back of the head, like Mao went and took Chinese people and shot them in the back of the head in front of their neighbors and friends, right? And you have no empathy for that. No, you have no God, you have no spirit, and you better wake up. I'm not shy about saying it. And I'm not, because we're at a threshold here of people in charge. We're not talking about people that might have issues and then they just go do it. We're talking about leadership in America that have no empathy for that and express that. I'm not scared of that. I know the reality of it. and where it's going to lead.
Yes, and they
Stephanie
have
does
been indoctrinated, and also they've given their power away, and many of the relationships they've put themselves in, they basically have sold their soul. So, Scott, let me just, we're gonna hang that thought because we're gonna come back to you. We're gonna connect the dots with California in just a moment. Stephanie, I want to come back to you. There are two stories that you had. One was of your sister, one was of Ife. Will you connect the dots for us? Give us a picture of some of those, like the story where we're seeing, that Marxism, that communism, that atheist Marxism in action.
Yes, thank you. I was going to bring up my sister's story.
Yeah.
Was she was 1996. She started the spiritual practice called Falun Gong. And because she was pretty sick in that time, and then she practiced, and then it's bring her health back. I was killing with her. So if you want to learn Qigong, you can learn from me. But
okay.
but I did try. But I was help her a little bit. But she really, I wasn't really believe in the first hand actually. But I see, she's happy and then joy and come back, and then it was from 1996 until 1999, so like 2.5 years later. And then China will start to crack it down about taking those Falun Gong members to labor camp, and then later on take them to jail.
So she was in China during this time. She was teaching Falun Gong, and then the government came to crack down. And was she one of those that was taken?
Let me explain. She was American here. She came in 1992, was visiting, and she didn't go back until 1999, end of the 1999. Actually, the crackdown is July, and half years later, and she said, "Oh, I need to go back to China. I need to tell the government from my own experience what is Falun Gong. It's not about the government's talk." And then I thought she's really brave, but we didn't know that, they cracked down that bad. We didn't know. I said, we didn't ask your power. We just want to cultivate. We just want to exercise. We need a little piece of grass, we're just standing there, exercise. So we didn't do anything bad. So I was, okay, if you want to go back, then I was, it's a bad thing that I would think. I helped her to purchase the ticket, but I always feel bad. I did that. So, but I really don't know the government can do that for their, for these people, for Falun Gong people.
Our press went away from helping. Our State Department went away from advising people not to go back if you're Falun Dafa. Everybody shut down on it and ignored it. So anyway, go ahead, Steph.
Did she go back?
Yeah, so she went back.
Yeah, she went back. 2000. She went back. The last date of 2099 was New Year Eve, and she back to China as 2000. And oh gosh, she got 1 year labor camp, 4 year jail. And so during this time, I was start to rescue her. That's how it was, now it's not in the Tiananmen Square killing student. It's like my family member. So I got to stand up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I started to work on my rescue my sister, and I do get local Falun Gong practitioners help, and I would go into Chinese council to letter and ask them, and I go. I was living in San Jose. I got San Jose Mayor Chuck Reid was support, and some human rights commissions, and I even go into the Congress, and I travel from California to Washington D.C. So that was like my years 40. So from my 20s in the Chinese powerhouse, and then his 40s, he will come into America. But it's different. It's, you see that I was there in China. I was everybody says great, and then start to rescue my sister.
It's all right.
Um,
And she did.
But
And she did, by the way.
luckily, yeah.
Not easy.
So
Not easy.
it's not easy.
No,
But
because you're
during
basically
that-
snatching
during the
her out of the
experience-
communist hands.
And that'll come into
Yeah.
the book on the whole.
And during this experience and for rescuing my sister, and I do really appreciate, you know, Americans system and people and government and part of some government people.
Did they
And
help
really-
you to
they
rescue your
help.
sister?
They
Wow.
help. So my
Come on,
sister is
America.
back in 10 years later, 2011. So she back to United States. So she's reunited with me in San Francisco here right now.
That's so good. Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
you
Yes,
are.
I really want to thank you know, American and
Yes.
who is involved for helping her back. Yeah.
What an amazing story.
Yeah, but you know, that's during this 10 years where
10
I started
years.
helping my sister, and then it was enlarged my heart helping my sister's friends, and we really see the communism, how they torture Falun Gong members, and then infiltrated actually is in even America around the world. That's why when Scott understand the communism, and we really, I feel I find someone who's really understand how evil the communism, especially in CCP, we call Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's a powerful story. And that took so much courage. And I can tell that, there's still an impact there. I heard you say, you felt guilty when you bought your sister her ticket, and of course, that's not your fault. You were supporting your sister for standing up. And what was so beautiful was the way, you stood up for her and went to all the way across the country to DC, to get the support you needed, and practitioners that were there, boots on the ground in China to help rescue your sister. That's pretty incredible. Scott, let me pop over to you. Mao's Cultural Revolution crushed the spiritual culture for decades. What parallels do you see today in California's schools and institutions with this atheist Marxism mind virus?
Yeah, well, there's actually lots of documentaries out on this and lots of knowledge, and that's what when I was introduced to Stephanie, I've never been an advocacy person. I've never been in philanthropic areas. I have a heart for it. I did PETA with an H, back in 13 before I met Stephanie, which is People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals and Humans. So humans around the world. So I've always had a heart for humanity. So I guess I could be more agnostic most of my life. I felt like I was touched by Jesus at an early age because I was, raised as a Christian in the Midwest, but I wasn't someone that went to church every day. I was more involved in sports, friendship, and business, and that's my life, right? And so that life then kind of reopened to me when I met Stephanie. The spiritual part kind of resonated. I kind of, wow, if this is true, I got to try to help if I can, because I did have relationships in business and in media and in others in sports area at the top that I thought I could call and there'd be no big deal, right? What's going on? And I just got rejection after rejection after rejection. And I was like, this, logic is everything, right? I mean, to me, I've always been, I'll give you this right here. Logic lets us start from clearly defined premises, examine how they connect, and draw conclusions that follow. I've written assessments all my life for C-suite people in every sector. So, you do use your spirit, but you also use logic. And I've actually fairly been tested, and I'm okay in that area, let's say. Okay, so there just wasn't anything logical about
Right.
what I knew about America and the Americans who I grew up with, that I was advising, that were elder from the World War II generation. They used a lot of logic and spirit, right? It wasn't communist. There were people that are evil in everything, and we're a free society. There's people that do the wrong thing, right? But for the most part, 80 to 90% of Americans in business and in labor and in the neighborhoods in Oakland and San Francisco and suburbia, everywhere, they wake up every day trying to do the right thing. They may be held hostage by somebody, but in their heart, they're not psychopaths, and they're looking for a better way.
Right.
So I started looking at the logic behind how could this happen, to where all of a sudden they were speaking on this persecution, top media, and then it was went away. All the Democrats used to be human rights people. A lot of business people in America used to be human rights. They would give charity fund, money to causes, even if they're busy in business, whatever, but they did care. Their hearts were there, right? And they give to donate. Why isn't anybody identifying the truth of this? Because there's a lot of truth that I was finding out over 2 years. I was basically friends of Stephanie for 2 years. And then some people say we're sticky rice. Guy, what are you doing? You're like with her all the time. They didn't know what I was actually trying to do, right? So we were sticky rice. She was educating me, right? You heard the story. She didn't so I'm getting a lot of insight, and I'm in tech, and I've got some security tech, and everything's going on in China too, in the world. And so I'm kind of engaged in this space a little bit. And she's been enlightened me to the, what's been going on and the infiltration that the CCP has had here. And she's thinking it's just from the, CCP from 1999, the persecution. And I'm finding out it's way deeper than that. And
wow.
And so now we have kitchen table leadership of atheist Marxists. And so we have to, it's a free country. You can be an atheist Marxist. Okay. But let's declare you are. If you sit in the legislators, or you sit in a government position, local, regional, or state, or federal, we need to say who we are. If you're a Christian, you're a Christian. If you're Jewish, you're Jewish. If you're Hindu, you're Hindu. If you're an atheist atomist, you're an atheist atomist. If you're atheist humanist, or you're an atheist Marxist. We need to identify, and people need to know, because they vote.
That's right.
Power, when you go to buy a stock with your hard-earned money, okay, you look at who the board is, who the CEOs are. Right? Everybody knows Cook at Apple. You look at who can drive the stock up, Elon or whatever, because they're good at what they do. You've got to invest your vote the same way you invest your dollars. And so you need to know everything about everybody in these positions, not for criminal activity, not for corruption, but how they think and how their heart is. And if you're an atheist Marxist, I think by the time it's done, the voters of California are going to know not to vote for them.
Well said.
It's real simple. It's real simple.
Well said.
So that's where we're at, and that will resonate across the entire country and across the entire world. It already has, as you know. I've been doing this for over a year. My walking trade show. It's not theory. We do this stuff, and so the response I'm getting from what I call the walking trade show is way to go. Okay, from people who are atheists, because now they can move away from atheist Marxism. It's very important to clarify atheism as a religion of non-belief. It falls in that category. It is a religion. A belief system is a religion. And you can be atheist science, an atheist atomist, so to speak. That's basically when atheism started, 500 years before BC, but when they started to understand atoms. So that's why we call them atomists. But they were working with clergy at the time and powers. They weren't trying to create a Marxist revolution against spiritual people. They were spiritual too, just like Albert Camus, who some believe he was killed by the KGB. Okay, he was in France. People need to look up Albert Camus. Pretty interesting guy, especially if you're in LA, and how this guy was an incredible writer. And he was a humanist, and whether I agree with satires, whatever, but he got it. And he might have got killed for it. He might have got killed for being that.
Wow.
We don't know. I mean, so there are people, I'm not in the conspiracy stuff, but there are realities that communists, Stephanie's executive producer of a documentary film that exposes that too. And so
Let's touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
Let me bring that up real quick. So this is the film. It's called Finding Courage, and I was watching this last evening and early this morning. A true story of one family who dared to be free. I had the privilege of meeting some of the people in this movie. Amazing. So Finding Courage, all kinds of awards. Stephanie, you were the executive producer. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm one of them. Yeah.
And you're in the movie.
No, I say,
Or a picture. There's a picture of you in the- Yeah, so I
you
saw
see
that. I saw that.
the
Yeah.
beginning, making dumpling, I was the one is making dumpling.
I saw that. Listen, it's funny because I was thinking about our conversation. By the way, I'm going to put that link right down here, guys. I want you to go watch that movie because this is going to give you a real depiction of what we're looking at and what our brothers and sisters in China are undergoing, those that are a true stand for freedom. We've got to support them, and we've got to sound the alarm here in this country and in the state of California, because we are being infiltrated right now, and they're so stealth in how they do this. So it's time for us to take our power back. You can go to Finding Courage movie. The link is here. It is at swoopsfilms.com/Finding Courage. You'll be able to watch it there. And I'm going to pull it up one more time just to give you guys a clear picture of this movie that Stephanie produced. A true story of one family who dared to be free. Finding Courage. It is awesome, you guys. It is awesome. I was so bummed at one point in the movie. I was getting ready for the show and I hadn't watched all the movie. And then most of it is in English. And, there's some subtitles when they're talking. But I was like, I couldn't get ready and listen to this, watch the subtitles. I was like, so I'm so excited to go back and watch this. So Stephanie,
yeah, thank you.
You've taken, I'd like to say that your mess has become your message, your test.
I like that.
Your testimony and your pain, your purpose.
Yes.
So I just want to acknowledge you for being the warrior that you are. You two together are a powerhouse, a force to be reckoned with. Together, I'll tell you what, together you absolutely can, what's the word I'm looking for? Like extinguish the mind virus, put it out, destroy it, and give people access to true freedom. Let's do this. We're going to take a moment just to thank our sponsors one more time. And then we're going to come back and we're going to finish strong. There's one more story about Ife I want you to share because it's a powerful story. And Scott, you're going to bring it home with what you two are going to do together, working in that position. If you are elected as governor and lady governor,
no ifs about it.
You're elected. I love it. I love it. So let's take a moment and thank our sponsors. We're going to bring Scott and Stephanie in the room back in just a moment. Okay, guys. So I'm going to pop on over to Mike Lindell. So I love my Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell is a warrior. Many of you know that guy has been sued up the yin yang for standing for freedom. He's one of those examples that Stephanie and Scott would be proud of. So let's support Mike Lindell with My Pillow. So how did you sleep last night? I'll tell you what, I always sleep really good. I got the tools, and those tools come from Mike Lindell at My Pillow.
Just like all of you, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. I'd flip-flop all night, use my arm for support, and fall asleep, or I'd wake up with a sore neck or maybe a headache. Well, quality sleep comes from keeping your neck straight at night. You have to fill in that space between your head and your bed. That's why I invented My Pillow. My Pillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it doesn't matter if you sleep on your back, stomach, side, or any combination of all three.
When I got My Pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get Classic King My Pillows for only $19.98. Queen size just $18.98. Standard Classic My Pillows only $14.98. That's right, only $14.98. Plus all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free.
All right, mypillow.com. Go get your pillows. Go get you a complete mattress sleep system and your Giza Dream bed sheets. mypillow.com/Kim. All right, my freedom loving patriots, welcome back to the Take Your Power Back show. Meet the governor candidate's wife. Born in China, made in America. We're talking to Stephanie Lee Shields and Scott Shields, running for the governor of our good state of California. Let's bring them back into the room today. Hey guys, what a show. And I'm telling you, we are on the tail end and we are going to finish today's show strong. Stephanie, my question to you. In 1996, you discovered the deeper spiritual practice that revealed what Mao hid. You promised to open eyes to true lineage. Now, we talked a little bit about that practice. How did that journey lead you to Scott? What's the connection with Scott? How did you two meet? And what kept you in America?
How do we meet? Yeah, we met at Long Beach in Southern California. And a Shenyun show, yeah, and so the show was brought him. Assignment was talking about the organ harvesting. So is
this the big? So I've been to one of those shows where they're in the sky, they're in the wheels, they're dancing. Is it one of those shows?
Yeah, that show, I was a volunteer that show. So I met him and then he was brought a lot of questions. So then we talked more. And so we met after the show, then 2 weeks later, and he wanted to know more. Then, how we met. We talked more and more. Now
they touched on organ harvesting. Was it in that dance piece that they?
Yeah, one of it is from talking about the ancient China, different dynasties. They're using the body language with a dance and also singing and organ. Live music. Yeah. So this is a great show. And then after that day, and Scott was waking him is why I never heard about this human rights things.
Right.
Yeah,
there's lots of different segments in the show. It's theater, so there's the curtain draws. There's probably 10 segments. One of the segments is about the organ harvesting and the persecution, and that's why Shenyun, when you watch it, the tagline says China before communism. It cannot be seen. This is a world-class operation and theater performance, and well known around the world. Brings in thousands of people.
I've been to one of the shows.
China will not play it.
No, you can't.
So far, we've never had in 2 presidents now. Trump the first term, when I was kind of involved, and then also Biden in the second term, which I still have relationships in the Democratic Party that are pretty high up too, and neither one of them.
And by the way, that's a good thing to have those relationships, because California, we need to bring in the Democrats.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm registered as a nonpartisan president. I could put a D by my name. I could put an R by my name. I could stay as an independent. I don't know yet. I'm hoping to make friends that, and continue to make friends, what I'm doing in all sides, and see which side basically. My candidacy says vote the candidate, not the party. Now, obviously, you do need party support probably to win in California. Yeah. So an independent's pretty tough. But, vote the candidate, whether I got a D behind my name or an R behind my name. I'm hoping the tops in both of these parties start to recognize who we are and say, wow, we're viable candidates, right? And I think we're relevant candidates, and maybe start to give us a call and interview us. Otherwise, I've got to run as an independent. So that's where that falls. But the Shenyun performance cannot be shown in China, okay, because of the organ harvesting. Now think about that. This is one of the most beautiful performances that the Chinese culture, okay?
Yes.
And also 90% of the participants are Chinese. which represents, you would think, wow, we want to represent China. You know, these are Chinese people doing really good, and it's beautiful. Anybody that loves the arts, you know, I'm not a great arts person, but you have to enjoy this performance.
It's one of the most beautiful performances I've ever been to. And my background is theater. I've seen theater in London and, you know, throughout the country. So yes, beautiful.
So just think about that part, everybody that's listening. The fact that it can't play in China, and actually it was scheduled in St. Petersburg, Russia at the time. This was interesting to me too, because of the old communist Eastern European. When the wall came down, I had relationships with Russians who were defectors and actually came here to live too. And I called one of them that I knew, and I said, you know, why isn't Shenyang performing in Russia? Okay. And because the Orthodox Church has come back there, their spirituality shouldn't be an issue there, right? In communist Russia. And they said, no, it can. It's scheduled to show in St. Petersburg. Well, it wasn't long after that, they canceled it in St. Petersburg. And I called them. I said, what happened? And here's the truth, folks. She called Putin and said, don't let that show occur in St. Petersburg, Russia. So this is the depth of when people say, oh, they're just not involved in America. They're not involved in the world with the atheist Marxists exporting that.
Yeah.
There's got to be a tariff on that, President Trump.
Yeah.
The tariff needs to be on exporting atheist Marxism, period. And which leads to the societal cancer of social.
Yes.
And
totally.
they hide. I mean, I'm all over it, and I'm going to continue to be all over it, because we can't solve any of the economic issues. We can't solve any of the environmental issues. We can't solve our energy issues. We can't solve the cost of living issues. We can't solve anything in California until we remove that from any of the critical thinking and decision making in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Because there's no logic aligned with spirituality on solutions.
Yeah.
It's all
and to go back for a second, and let's just talk about the organ harvesting. It brings up the organ harvesting. Now, we've all heard about the Ukraine. We've all heard about the really organ harvesting happening throughout the world, but especially in China. So many countries are participating in that, as well as the human trafficking. And we know here in the state of California, there is a huge human trafficking epidemic.
The organ harvesting that started in the 90s started in China with prisoners. So then in 99, when they persecuted the Falun Dafa practitioners, they really thought that they were going to just put them in a re-education situation, and they will come out. Everybody will say, okay, I'm not going to be Falun Dafa. And they were taking blood types. That's how this documentary that she's in, the family, she was arrested, and they took her blood, right?
Well,
and then
so hold on. This is huge. Why did they take her blood?
Well, they took her blood because at the time we're moving technology and science at a very fast, rapid pace to China in the medical industry. Yes. And that's good. I mean, I go to the hospital she goes to the hospital if it gets sick too. You got to go, right? You want to do everything you can to prevent health, preventive health. And then if you need what we're good at in America, treating disease, we're very good at it.
Okay.
Right? So they were in that lane, right, of now going to treating disease. And so hospitals, they had enough people coming over here to universities, really smart. That's why the students would come here and learn. They would go home just like she was going to go home. And they go home and they build up the infrastructure with pharmaceuticals and hospitals and doctors. But one thing they forgot about is what? What do you need when you start a medical industry? You have to have blood.
Okay, I was going to say blood because we're back to the blood. Okay,
and whose blood would you want in a society that whose blood would you want? You'd want.
Well, actually, there's a lot of different philosophies about Rh negative blood, but
I'm going to tell you, no, you want clean blood.
You want clean
blood, no alcohol, no smoking, no disease, and even as you'll see in the documentary, Falun Dafa had already reached levels of Communist Party officials and educators, and everybody knew about Falun Dafa and knew that they were probably the purest blood there,
Yes.
right? Okay,
No
so
drink,
so
no
if you're going to
sleep.
have if you
All
need
about
a blood, you're going to, or a transplant you're going to want that person. Now then it scales to the world, because the organ harvesting industry, just like with PETA, which I was a part of, a pretty substantial part of
And
it. one time.
PETA, tell me what PETA is again.
PETA's the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. And so going into universities like University of Davis here, or Stanford and Berkeley, and protesting unethical treatment, not being anarchist, atheist, Marxist, Greenpeace blowing up ships or fires, all that stuff, right? When I move out of stuff real quick, right? So, but the purpose behind is good, and they were very effective, and by being effective, the universities decided we'll cut a deal with China, because as the Navy will tell you, you can go to China, but you can't see over the bamboo fence, just like with COVID, right? Nobody could go visit the facilities. So wake up, people. So what happened is the testing for animals moved over to China, which, if you understand atheist Marxism, human beings are the same thing to the elites. Okay. So fallen alpha practitioners are just a way to, and even others, I mean, sex slaves that get cleaned up and sent over, or babies from other, it grew into a business that is actually, it makes the drug business maybe look small. We don't know yet. We're trying to get the actual numbers, but it is billions of dollars in organ harvesting. And as you said, everybody around the world, if you have a family member that's sick, or you're sick, do you really want to dive in and really try to figure out how people want to stay alive, right?
Of course.
And so this is where human rights has to be extremely strong, how the State Department has to be very strong, how the governor of California has to be very strong. To stop the slavery, you have to get to the root of the problem. We saw the definite scale of kidnappings and sex slaves in Eastern Europe, and then I think probably here in America and Latin America grow exponentially with the growth of organ transplants around the world. So, and mostly in China. I mean, they have private planes that'll fly people. They'll fly the world. And again, when people are going to die, or their family members are going to die,
of course.
Okay, I equate it this way with the politicians in America and around the world, and the business people and the elites. If you did something wrong in other spaces, right? You kind of hide that, right? So you don't want to expose it, because it can come back to you, even if you didn't know. My suggestion would be, everybody that's had organ harvesting that has a title or family member or been a part of it, just come out clean and say, we had it, we did it. We got an organ, we were able to get it in 2 weeks instead of going to mail, where you got to wait 6 months or a year.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So how does that happen? 2 weeks, you can get what you want. Well, you got to wake up, folks.
Black market. The black market.
And there's only 4 states, I forget what they are, that insurance companies still pay for the treatment of people when they go from America and they get treated with organs from China, okay, for the treatment afterward. There's only 4 states that stop that.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is a normal, healthy, someone dies and we're taking their organs. In most cases, like we see in human trafficking, is they will use the body many, many, many times over with selling that body. And then they will strip the organs from the body. You take the organs, sell them on the market, and then fill the drugs in that child's body, zip them up, and drive them across the border. That's the reality and the sickness of what really happens.
It's evil, as Stephanie said. It's evil, and that's how it's scaled. Where it started was China, and it scaled from there, because atheist Marxism again removes the empathy. Right? When you lose your empathy, even if I went through this with my sister. Unfortunately, she passed away, and she had a stroke, so she was on respiratory life, and we had to. Do we want to keep her going? Every family member had their own situation, right? We always leave it up to the husband, but the request for the organs was there, right? When someone goes in the hospital now, the request for the organs is pretty intense. And you can see where it's very difficult. It was very difficult for us, right? And because you do want to help save a life, but you also want to say, can she come out of the coma, right? So, and so it was very difficult. And the decision we made. But this is a difficult topic, and each situation is different. But we do.
You two were fighters on the front lines.
Oh,
we've been on it for, I've been on it for
26
years now. I started as friends of, I've been sticky rice with Stephanie now. People say, how long you been married? I say 40 years. They say, wait a minute, you just got married in 2020. I say, well, when you're younger and you're married, your typical life, you go to work, you come back, you're raising kids, going to ball games, doing it. You see your wife how often? Yeah, in terms of time spent with Stephanie, we've been married 40 years. Yeah, so we've been in this fight and going to screenings, traveling around the country, talking to politicians, talking to business people, talking to executives, talking in DC. We just spent 6 weeks there after Trump got elected. We're not advocacy people, but we do expose truths, and we hope people recognize it and say, wow, okay, we didn't know this. How can we help? We're not out trying to say, do this, raise money. We don't. In fact, that's why when you showed the film, I want to thank you for that. I didn't know you were going to do that. We're not here to sell this film. And you know, it's nice that you brought that up with Stephanie. That's not why we're here. It's not a promo or anything like that. And so I was a little worried that you'd do that if I don't say that there are actually 2 films that
this film is not a promo. This is Kim saying you need to see the film.
Yeah,
I get nothing out of this.
We appreciate
nothing out of this. This is awesome.
But I'm going to real quick. I'm going to tell you where the promo is now. It is in 2 documentaries called The Agenda. Everyone needs to see that. I'm going to be pushing that one like you can't believe. Okay, the agenda really identifies a lot, and then 9 commentaries. So for the listeners,
9 commentaries and
the two, they're both long.
Corbin. Agenda's by Corbin.
Agenda, and then the other one is 9 commentaries, which was in 2005, and it's really fabulous. So it will educate. You'll understand a lot of communism and why we're doing what we're doing to save California and America and the world. And I believe at one point, now hear me out here, I'm pretty confident of this, by the way. So if President Trump, you ever see this, okay, she's father again spent time in jail by Mao, and she himself was over here. Don't be a grape at the poker table. He knows the evils of atheist Marxism. That's your tariff. Money, I get it. You're a business guy, okay? He needs to start cooperating on stopping the exporting of atheist Marxism around the world and in America with one word like Gorbachev did, tear down the wall. All she has to say is, no more, I'm de-Marxifying myself, and this country is not going to be Marxist anymore. We can be authoritarian. We don't have to step down. We can be the Singapore solution since there's transition. Trump knows about this. So does the State Department. So do politicians. The only reason I'm running for governor is I can do that here in California. I can change California because we can eliminate Marxism and bring jobs back to California that they deserve. We've got a $250 million deficit in California with exports, mostly to China and mostly to Mexico. We have leverage here to do tariffs the right way. Up here, he will come on board. You've got to use your mind a little bit here, Trump and State Department. It's not just about money. Okay, it wasn't just about money with Gorbachev. Okay, everybody may think it was. It wasn't. Okay, Gorbachev was a very spiritual person. She has that in him too, for a couple reasons. You need to start negotiating the right way. That's my personal opinion. If you don't, you can't. I'm going to do it here. So if that's how you voters, if you believe in that, I should get your vote. Real simple. Whether I'm an independent, Republican, or Democrat, because I'm going to drive it home. And her story is real. My story is real too, which you'll get one day. But this is very powerful, and I'm a fun guy. It sounds like, you know, I call myself the coach and her the gardener. That's our brand. Somebody said you can't be a coach.
No joke, you are the coach, and she is the gardener. Her garden's awesome. I saw it.
The garden. I go, you can't be a coach and gardener and run for governor, and this won't work. I said, well, we're going to try. Okay, you know, the coach is going to try. I'm knowledgeable, but I surround myself with people that are much more knowledgeable in every sector. I've done that all my life. Okay, she's way more knowledgeable in this sector than I was. Okay, without a doubt, everybody watching this knows
and
that.
I'm going to ask Stephanie a question. Stephanie, why is it important that we de-Marxify California right now?
That's very important, you know, from my own experience. And I see the communism in China, and then I see the communism infiltrating American around the world, and you know, from my first hands. That's why I had the heart for American people and good people, and because I don't want to see this happens, you know, in China and come to here. That's why I fight for communism for this 26 years, I'll say. Yes. And and then especially in California, and I feel even worse than other states. So when Scott, he stand up, he said he will run governor. And I know he had knowledge, and he's really a fun person to be. And with my experience, and I will share with him, and I think he can do it, and I will help him, you know.
You two are a powerful team, and your book comes out in the spring of 2026. Born in China, made in America. So what's the message from that book that you want everybody to know today? And maybe what's one action step that we can take today?
I just simply want American people wake up.
That's it. Maybe that will be the title. I think that may already be out there in some things. That's good.
Yeah, but we talk a lot of like economies or whatever, you know, but the root of problem I see is communism. Yes. Even that's the root of a problem. So if we want to fix anything, and if we start there, then I think other thing we'll see smaller.
And she'll get this word track better, but it's really, you know, the metastasized cancer is communism, right? The path to you know, if you get cancer is socialism, right? The pathogen, the mind virus, is the start of the cancer. And so people can relate to that. They will relate to that. They will get it. They have to look in the mirror themselves. And if you're atheist, you can be an atheist atomist, atheist science, and atheist humanist, and not be part of the atheist Marxist movement, which has been going on for decades. And now it's kitchen table lineage. So if you were indoctrinated by your parents, your grandparents, your neighbors, your friends, your unions, okay, there's many union people you saw, they voted away from Marxism. Okay, a lot of individuals that are union, they get it. They're America first. Okay, and mainly because they're brought up with the spiritual teachings as well. And labor isn't some atheist Marxist movement. It was hijacked. Stephanie is a prime example for everybody that says you can't de-Marxify. You're not even close to the indoctrination that she was. Not even close. So don't tell me you can't do it. Don't tell me you can't do it.
So Stephanie, what was the word you're telling all of us? You said to wake up. Let's hear you say it loud and clear. Wake up, California.
I don't know.
I'm the coach. Wake up, California.
Wake up, California. I love America.
And America. Yes.
I love California.
We're not doing this for us.
I
obviously, you know, there's things.
My lifetime in American here more than China. So I came 23. Now I'm 61. And I stay in California is 30 some years already.
Yeah, so I'm 40. I'm 45 years here. We're Californians, and we're not running away.
Come
Okay?
on.
Don't run away from California. In fact, if you live in another state, you ought to get here, because California is still the land of milk and honey, as they say. When I was growing up, I'm from Illinois. California is the land of milk and honey. Get over there. Okay, so we're going to bring it back. There's so much good here. So much good. It's just run by atheist Marxists. There's another movie. It's called The Hollywood Takeover. Very important to see. Very important to see. Hollywood Takeover. There's a producer that had the courage to be interviewed by some people we know. And he actually came out and said, ooh, we got slapped in the face by the dragon of China when he was working with the Obama administration in the media to try to do change. Obama, I think I'll get Obama's endorsement. I think I'll get Trump's endorsement. I think I'll get Bush's endorsement. I think I'll get every presidential Trump's endorsement. Okay, because they all know what I'm talking about. They've been in the position. They understand this. This isn't anything new. If I know it, they know it. I've written assessments all my life. I'll give you an assessment that they all know and they've read for years. The coexistent assessment framework. It's called Assessing Which Nations Can Coexist Peacefully. Do you know how many nations rate are misaligned, partially aligned, or strongly aligned with China to coexist? To coexist. They know this at the State Department. If you haven't got this, Trump, call me. Okay, maybe they're hiding it from you. This crazy times, I don't know. Only 5. Partially alignment, 13. Misaligned, the overwhelming majority, 177 countries, equal a score below 0 to 10. Partials from 11 to 18, and strong alignment 19 to 25. This is all knowledgeable stuff at the State Department. Okay, this isn't stuff people don't know about. We've got the same thing with who aligns with America. How many states align with America? Okay, I'm going off here. But I tell you,
wow, Scott. While you're looking for that, I just want to say.
Here's why I'm going to bring this up. Everybody is thinking about Somalia, and they want to focus on Somalians in Minnesota because it's in the news, right?
Sure.
Okay. When we do the coexistence assessment framework, assessing which nations can coexist peacefully with America, where do you think Somalia rates from the scale of 0 to 25 on all the categories?
So 25 being like they meet all the requirements.
Strongly aligned. There's not a
Well, Somalia,
let's talk 0. I'll get right to the point. 0. So when we talk about immigration, and the State Department knows this too, and so do the atheist Marxists that run the State Department. They want to bring people in here that aren't aligned with our ideals. Okay. When people came in from Europe, they came in to escape persecution, okay, not to bring in the ideals of the kingdomhood, right? Now we bring in the ideals of the kingdomhood of Marxism into America. And Islamists who I know validate this with me, okay? Because there's lots of spiritual people that are Islamists that say we're indoctrinated by atheist Marxists and the money, just like our businesses, aligned with the Middle East and Israel, okay? And so there's Israelis that are atheist Marxists. There's atheist Marxists in every country or financially aligned with. And then there's atheist science people, lots of Jewish communities.
So would you say that there's a connection, Scott, with the
major connection with
Islam and the infiltration of a lot of the Islamists here in the country?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. We know it is. It starts with Marxists and China. You stop that, it's a lot easier for the Islamists not to be who they are at the level of the terrorism, the anti-Israel, everything else. Bring their true spirits back. People can say, I had a theologian tell me something pretty interesting, because I explained about who Stephanie is in the Buddhist Taoist tradition, and Falun Gong, which is an advanced Buddhist Taoist spiritual energy practice, the way I define it. I don't know if they define it that way. I define it that way. And so I said, they have a person by the name of Shakyamuni, was the Buddha in India, and around the time of Jesus, and obviously Muhammad was around that time too. And there are records that say Muhammad, actually, liked Jesus's teachings, right? So,
And then he also slept with a 6-year-old. Yep.
well, again, I'm not going to get into the root root of an individual, but I'm going to say you're not defending anybody's actions.
Right. I understand.
What I'm talking about is
the validity of Jesus.
The validity of Jesus and spiritualness that he might have had in there and was trying to attain. Okay. So that's important. And so, but there is, in science, evolution does occur. We do know there is evolution. I don't believe we came from animals or apes, but there is evolutionary things that occur. And part of the simple way to look at that is adapt, migrate, or die. Okay. That's what happens to species. Okay. So in terms of the spiritualness, Jesus died on the cross for everybody. Okay. Yes. He took the bullet, right? He took the bullet. Okay. Sakyamuni in India, he migrated. Okay. He migrated so he wouldn't take the bullet. Can't blame him for doing that either. Okay. Okay. And then Muhammad, according to theologian, he adapted. He adapted to maintain power there from two power structures at the time, which was the family and the business people, which ended up dividing after he died, which is Shias and Sunnis. Okay, the business, I think, was something. Yeah. So they divided, and so the religion and the spiritualness that came out of that would never come from Muhammad, even if he was attempting, because of the fight for power at the levels that it was. So all the teachings. Okay, we've got a huge white paper on this. So we understand it. And I was able to explain it when I was in DC to a lot of the Islamic people who some call moderates. I don't call moderates. I just say they're good inborn spirit. They believe in America's ideals. They fight for America's ideals harder than Americans do, just like Stephanie and right. And we don't support them when we try to group them into a situation. And we can't do that. Okay, because the bottom line is atheist Marxists in China control the Middle East the same way they control many of our corporations and business people and politicians. And California, it's going to change. We're the 4th largest economy in the world. The governor has a lot of power to negotiate for peace and prosperity for everybody in the world. But we're not going to be the grape at the poker table anymore, as I call it, of the atheist Marxist Chinese. And actually, many of the atheist Marxist Chinese brought up like her, who aren't Falun Dafa, who I've had conversations with, say, you're going to Reaganize California. They want it to happen. They want it to happen. But they're living in the system of the theocracy and really the colonialist of the time. So for historical justice, American people who are driving this narrative about colonialism in America, the colonialists of the times are the Middle East theocracy of Islam and the atheist Marxists of China. And they control a lot. They control a lot. The assessment's incredible when I wrote who they're in charge of around the world. China, the agencies, the organizations, the NGOs, the politicians, when they only align with 5 states. Wake up, everybody. That's
everything. Wake up. Here we are again to wake up.
And I'm going to do it congenially. I'm going to do it. I do make friends. So I interrupted, but I want to make sure as a coach,
you make friends.
You're in the locker room with me right now, everybody. Okay, but
come on, coach.
I'm a very friendly guy when we go out, but I play to win. Okay, I'm not playing to lose.
Yeah, I love it.
I've contacted Steve Smith's people, and he's like, okay, maybe he'll support me. I don't know what he'll say. He's a sports guy that talks a lot on ESPN.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking to people's people, right? To say, wake up. They're waking up. He may even run. Who knows? People, I don't care if somebody takes my agenda and Stephanie's agenda and wants to be the governor. Maybe we'll help support them if they don't even know how much we can help them. But you better take on the agenda of DE-MARXIFY first. If you don't even call.
That's right. So good. We need to stop the mind virus. So get rid of the no God, the no empathy, to knowing God, knowing true empathy,
you gotta find
and making this state great again, tapping into the true source of freedom. Stephanie, we're going to complete with you right now.
Thank you so much.
In honor. Are there any final words that you'd like to share with the people of California and America today?
Again, wake up, Californians and Americans, and we love you. And
yeah, we do love it.
Yeah,
We care.
we care.
Our campaign's an I care campaign. Everybody, poor, rich, sick. We're working. We've got some Maha situations that we're working with at a pretty high level to try to help bring into California on the healthcare. Healthcare is an issue. Cost is an issue. All these micro issues, problems, have to be looked at by really brilliant people who want to solve them, not for their own personal objectives. And so that's us. I align myself with people like that. And then we educate the people, because you're the voter, you hold the money to invest in the stock, and you've got to hold your elected officials accountable.
Come on. Well said. That's shieldsforgovernor.com. Tap on in, shieldsforgovernor.com. You'll also find Stephanie's story there as well. Go watch the movie, Finding Courage. Very important that you guys go watch that movie. They're not here talking about that movie, but that movie really helped me to get the big picture. And then Scott gave us a list of movies. If you're just hopping on, go back, listen to the rest of the show. Scott and Stephanie, you are an absolute blessing. I want to say, thank you so much for putting your life on the line.
I can get rid of communism. I know everybody can.
Wow,
Come on.
If Stephanie can do it, we can do it.
Right.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, let's rephrase that to the mind virus, because it starts there. It's really hard to get rid of communism without really understanding it's the mind virus. It's like taking cancer. Once you got cancer, okay, it's tough, right? You better go back and revisit how you got it. In the medical industry, you have to do that. You have to go to where it's going to metastasize again, even if it's in remission, right? Even if you take it out, where can it come back if it's in remission?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
And you know what, Scott, I have to share this with you. Whenever you're talking about this cancer and taking it out, with the mind virus, God's word is so powerful. And especially when you go back to the original translation, the Hebrew and the Greek, and the word of God, there's this scripture that says the word of God is sharper than a double-edged sword. You see, a double-edged sword cuts going in and it cuts coming out, but it cuts out the cancer. And it says it's sharper than a double-edged sword. It divides bones and marrow, soul and spirit. It judges the thoughts and the attitudes of the heart, so that everything is laid bare to him to who will give account. On our own, we cannot annihilate the mind virus. With God, the true source of freedom and strength, we absolutely can.
It's impossible to.
That's right. And what I love about you guys is all of the practices and teachings that you've taken on. God has utilized them to show you his peace and his freedom. And then just even your story of 5 years old, your Jesus story, Scott, I believe that he who began a good work in the two of you is going to carry it out to the very end. And you're leading the charge.
We call it destiny.
Yes.
We haven't spent time spent. We
talk a lot about, we believe creators, God. So
we are creators, co-creators in Christ. That's right. We are. That's right. Yes. Scott and Stephanie Shields, a blessing. May God bless you abundantly. We will be back in communication. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Stephanie. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Too.
God bless you. And one more time on 3, we're all going to say, wake up. 1, 2, 3.
Wake up.
Scott and Stephanie Shields. Wow, it's time. I mean, really, we're laughing and we're making it fun. And that really is the joy, I believe, that comes from the Lord, the source of freedom. But it is time. It's time for you and me and all of us to wake up. No more sitting on the sidelines. There's so many ways that we can step into the gap. And sometimes it's really by educating. We've got this friend of ours, and he drives us crazy, and he's probably listening right now. We love him. He's awesome. Ron Romeo. And but he's one of those, guys from home who'll do whatever he can to educate. So he's constantly in communication with different people and educating and informing and connecting. That's the difference that you can make. So Patriots, This was a powerhouse episode. From Mao's chains to California's future, Stephanie and Scott Shields prove freedom wins. Freedom wins when we fight with faith and truth. This is our moment to reject the mind virus, embrace our God-given freedom. Support Scott and Stephanie Shields. DE-MARXIFY now. We've got to bring this to the light, expose it, so that we can powerfully choose and say, no, this is not going to infiltrate our country anymore. We're going to go back to our Constitution. We're going to go back to a republic that's founded on God's word. Remember, Patriots, tap on in and support our sponsors today. patriotsmade.com/Kim, freedomstakesnow.com/Kim, and visit the Take Your Power Back show. You'll find us on all podcast platforms. You'll also be able to donate to keep the Take Your Power Back show alive. And listen, every little bit you give counts. $5, $10, $50. It's because of you that we're able to have this show be here right now. Go to takeyourpowerbackshow.com to share and to tap into all of our past episodes. Share this with everybody. Share the show today and subscribe at takeyourpowerbackshow.com. Visit the takeyourpowerbackshow.com. And remember, we together must de-Marxify our state and claim our freedom, our prosperity, and our God-given greatness. Step into your power, California. Step into your power, America. Lead boldly and never, ever back down. May God bless you. May God bless California. And may God bless America. I love you. And I'll see you all on the other side.
Thank you for joining us for the Take Your Power Back show. As Peak Performance Breakthrough Coach Kim Yeater speaks to other freedom-loving Americans that are making a positive impact in the world by standing in truth amid adversity. Listen in weekly and learn how to take your power back in your freedom, in your personal and professional life, in technology and creativity, and in your faith. Be encouraged, be inspired, be transformed as you step into your power and take action in your leadership and allow your voice to be heard. Together, let's take your power back. To sponsor and support the Take Your Power Back show, go to takeyourpowerbackshow.com. That's takeyourpowerbackshow.com and take your power back.